Thank you for joining us today for what is promising to be a great discussion around how AI is reshaping teams and influencing opportunities across the industries. I'm Ruslana Zbaherska, and within Applied Solution, my organization is focused around team and AI collaboration and how it is shaping the future of work. At AWS, we are witnessing AI fundamentally reshaping how businesses operate. What started as an evolution of traditional AI through generative AI is now given the rise to agentic AI, autonomous agents that serve as true collaborators and teammates. These AI partners bring fresh perspectives and capabilities that complement our human expertise. They go beyond context generation and independently plan, reason through, and execute complex tasks that enhance how we work. And one thing I'm really intrigued about is how AI will evolve how we create, innovate, and deliver value to our customers, and what tools are going to look like in the future or in even 2026. So we're seeing companies move beyond experimentation to deploying AI for mission-critical business functions. And at AWS, we are working to create intuitive solutions that allow anybody, regardless of their technical capabilities and background, to integrate agentic AI into their teams and put autonomous AI agents to work. So this is why I am extremely excited to be joined today by two distinguished leaders who are innovating and driving AI innovation within their industries. Together, we will explore the leading organizations and how they are designing their teams to scale AI. We will also talk about real examples of what it takes to create culture and build the culture that embrace AI agents as collaborative partners. So please join me to welcome Abhijit and Pablo to the stage. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, it would be awesome if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Ruslana. Hi, everyone. I'm Abhijit. I'm a VP of Engineering at GoDaddy. I'm currently responsible for investments across cloud, our developer experiences, obviously data, AI, machine learning, and experimentation. And the core mission that we have at GoDaddy is to bring in and accelerate innovation for our 2,000 plus developers, 10,000 plus employees, and 20 million customers. Prior to that, I was at NVIDIA for 5.5 years as a distinguished engineer, and before that, I was at Microsoft for 15 years.
Lots of very cool and relevant background right here. Pablo?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. So my name is Pablo Stern, and I'm responsible for building all the IT and security products for our customers at ServiceNow. So our teams build, and I know we have many customers here in the audience, and I want to thank you because you're ultimately the truth tellers for the products that we build and how we can build and deliver better innovation and better capabilities to get you to value. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to share some of what we're learning, what we're seeing with some of you and some of your peers as well.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, let's dive in, right? So it's interesting to observe that read some of the recent publications, the AI innovation and scaling, abilities to scale it really varies by industries, right? With tech and media may be leading, but it's not really the same across all industries just yet. And so I am curious, sort of what are the kind of foundational steps you had to take to enable your teams to scale and leverage AI, but also maybe what you're observing from your customers?
So at GoDaddy, I think we have been in this AI journey for almost 3 years. But if I take a step back, I think Ruslana talked about maybe basic AI, generative AI, and agentic AI. And I think basic AI, the way I think of it, has been in our lives for a while, right? Amazon's product recommendations. I spent 9 years of my life at search and ads, where AI was very much prevalent in building the search engine and ad optimizations at scale. And obviously, AI has been there in the gaming engine for a while. What changed over the last 3 years has been the democratization of AI through a lot of the OpenAI, GPTs, Anthropic, Bedrock, and so on and so forth. And the way I think we have been thinking about it in GoDaddy is how do we democratize these technologies for our entrepreneurs? GoDaddy, with the 20 plus million customers, are all entrepreneurs. They come to GoDaddy to build a business. We want them to come to GoDaddy so that we can help transform their passion, their ideas, their dreams into a successful business. And the way we have done that is obviously starting to think about which products and product lines do we need to rethink and reimagine from ground up. And that's where I think we have seen Aero.ai, which has been one of our product releases maybe almost 2 years back. That was the first step towards that direction. The second and another step that we took was to start to think about how do we bring the conversational aspect of AIs into our care and support. A lot of you might be aware of it. I think there is a huge churn of care employees. I think there's a lot of optimization and mundane tasks, repetitive tasks. And though we had some level of machine learning models built in how do we route care and how do we think about impacting the customer satisfaction, we felt that that would be the next step in bringing AI experiences so that we can actually move our magical humans to maybe more high-value tasks to build customer loyalty, build purchase funnels, and also provide customer satisfaction.
I like the idea of sort of democratizing and bringing AI to everyone and making it much more accessible, sort of regardless of your technical background or sort of the job that you're trying to accomplish. How do we help you to do that much more effectively? Pablo, anything you want to add, Leo?
Yeah. So I'll say a couple of things. At ServiceNow, like our mission is to put AI to work for people. And so that really is the genesis of where everything starts. And for folks that have been in the industry as long as I have, one thing that I always come back to is the cloud journey, the cloud migration journey, which started in late 90s, early 2000. And I'm often reminded that we're still on the cloud journey today. You still have cloud as a top priority for organizations, and we're 25 years into this journey. And so these are long arcs on some of these journeys. I think that there's an opportunity here with AI to drive acceleration. We're going to see outcomes faster, but we're all on a journey. And generally, these journeys have been 30-year generational shifts. Now, when we look at ServiceNow, our teams are building AI capabilities for care teams, for others, for your service desk, for your customer support teams. And so we really start with the customer first in terms of like, how are we putting that AI to work for customers? And it starts by what we call drinking our own champagne. Abhijit and I were at Microsoft back at the beginning of the cloud days, and we used to call it eating our dog food. Yeah. But we've evolved to now we're drinking champagne over eating dog food.
Sophisticated way of going.
It feels a little bit more sophisticated. You're right. And so our internal teams are adopting our AI. And what we're doing is we're basically creating digital employees that are working with the service desk team, working with customer service, working with your HR fulfillers, and working with the teams to ultimately drive and deliver those goals. And what we say internally is we're in a glass house, not in a black box. What we're really doing is we're trying to learn from what we do. And really, this journey that we're in is one where you have to throw out this product design, engineering, test, deploy, funnel out the window, and really rethink about how you're doing the development and be in there with your customers, driving that, learning how they're changing technology, people, and process all together.
Yeah. So other than I'm really curious what their favorite brand of champagne is, which maybe is the question we'll close with in case anyone else is curious. But it's really interesting, right? So how do you think about, eating your own dog food? I love the champagne much more. So definitely I'm going to borrow that statement. And how do you think about then your teams, right? So they can come along on this journey. The journey is fascinating. I think we had so much time in my mind to go from internet to a cloud and then cloud to SaaS. And here we are now. And I feel like we arrived at this agentic era within minutes, months, right? But definitely not years. So the speed is incredible at which we travel. I am curious, as you enable your teams to drink champagne, it seems like champagne is a topic. What are the things that you've learned kind of work really well? Like, what are the misconceptions maybe that you bumped into to help them scale through AI?
Yeah. So I'll start. I'm often surprised by this, but I think there's something that I always tell a team is, remember, AI is a how, it's not the what. And I think that's really important. You have to really think about what you're trying to achieve. What is the goal that AI is going to help you deliver on? And then you can think of what are the tools that are going to help you support there. So if your goal is better experiences or saving costs, more efficiency, or driving more revenue, come back to the what, and then determine what is the best how that's going to help you achieve that goal.
It's interesting. So start with kind of clear objective. Focus is important. Start small, clear objective. Have that goal, and I imagine have a way to measure it.
Yes, plan and something you can measure and come back to for sure.
I think I love the framing of thinking about why and what first, because I think AI is an enabler. I'll go a little maybe a layer next to what Pablo mentioned. Right, I think one of our journey has been is to create a safe space for all of our employees to exercise AI. Right, I think going back to the democratization aspect, right? I think we cannot democratize the AI for our customers if it is not enabled or accessible for all of our employees. And one of the step ones that we took was to actually build a wrapper or a proxy platform on top of our AI providers so that everybody can get access to the AI without being worried about security, privacy, compliance. And this is where maybe a plug for Bedrock comes in, because I think we have been a partner with Bedrock from day one before it was announced. And I think that's where we were able to actually build a secure mode that enable all of our 10,000 employees to access AI on a daily basis. The second part of that has been, how do we build that culture within the company? At GoDaddy, we think about boulders and bets as our strategic initiatives. And one of the things that we did as we brought in AI to a few of our products where there were trailblazing efforts to bring that AI, we wanted to scale it for the entire company. And we actually wrote a boulder which was specifically for building the AI culture. And one of the things that I liked about that was having a toothbrush test, which was as simple as every single employee using AI 2 times a day, or if you are actually brushing 1 time, that's okay too. Just use it, right? So the building the awareness, building the adoption, reducing the friction, enabling everybody to just be comfortable with the AI. So that's the second step of it. And then the third part of it is, right, hey, how do you scale it, right? Thinking about AI heroes, AI champions. We have a culture of showcases, and we actually had an AI showcase that was weekly where anybody from across the company can actually sign up to show what they have learned by the experiments that they have done, building an agent, building a conversation. And it doesn't matter what they were doing. We just wanted to have those conversations. So in some sense, I think I felt like those steps helped us to scale, because we felt that if we want to be in this journey of transformation, we have to transform our inside of the company where every employee is using it, and then take that to scale for our customers.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear, if I sort of summarize between what you've shared, and I very much agree, it's a people transformation, not necessarily a technology transformation. And so how you think about creating a culture, right? And creating a space that's safe, celebrating small and big wins, right? but at the same time, to Pablo's point, staying focused, right? So a clear objective, how you approaching it and how you're measuring, right? And I think that's probably, in my mind, a really, at least from observations and how both my team has been embracing it this year, as well as what I'm hearing from the customers, positions you well to like, how do you scale, right? That said, it's really interesting. I was reading an MIT study the other day. It's recently published. And one of the things that they've stated is only 5% of companies that have been piloting. So lots of companies have been piloting the AI, driving usage, daily usage, monthly usage, all these goals. But only 5% took it from small pilots to something that has scaled across organization at large and delivered meaningful value, right? Surprising. To me, it was surprising. And I'm wondering, as you think of your specific teams, what may be the fundamental things you've done, changes you made, composition of the team? AI doesn't respect org charts, but I'm curious, like how you created the right environment in addition to, safety and the team structure specifically that allowed for these pilots to be much more successful.
So our product strategy in the space is to help our customers with autonomous IT and autonomous security. So really be able to drive autonomy in those functions. And so when we work with our IT organization, we've been giving them AI capabilities, digital employees, capabilities for the service desk for other teams. And what we've seen is one of the starting point use cases and kind of a canonical use case for where generative AI can help is that customer care, customer support service desk use case. And so that for us is a tip of the spear. And what we've been able to do is, as an outcome for our employees, drive 90% deflection of anything that is coming into the service desk because it's getting handled through an omni-channel experience from our AI agents. So it could be voice, it could be email, it could be chat. And then those get dispositioned and actioned. And about 85% of those cases are handled and self-served entirely by AI, using our knowledge, using the system of record, using their own previous incident views of how previous incidents were addressed. And that's allowed us to shift 85% of our service desk team. So as you talk about organizational change, out of the service desk. So we've now got 15% of the team left in service desks that we had when we started the journey. 85% has transitioned out. For us, that transition has been into other functions and other parts of the IT organization. And for the 15%, some of the changes, and we talk a lot about this is not just a technology change, it's people and process, is those jobs are changing, those jobs are evolving. A lot of those teams are now not only helping be the SMEs to answer questions that our AI agentic employees can't answer, they're also managing those teams. So they're managing the AI agents underneath. And that is...
So you're in this hybrid team mode right now already, which is interesting.
And I expect that that's going to continue for quite some time. Like, I don't think you're going to end up in a world where, at least not in the next 5 years, you'll have one person in IT and everything else is an agentic employee. Like, it's going to be a collaboration. And so we bring those teams to collaborate together. And where that agentic employee can't resolve an issue, it goes to a human. The human goes and resolves it. And they also can manage and train and evolve those teams. And so we're seeing that within Service Desk as an example. And we're applying this now to other use cases in other areas where the human can work and collaborate with the agentic employees and drive and deliver outcomes.
It's interesting. It was in my team. We've been playing with how far can a product manager take a feature, right? So how do you think about writing a story, giving it to Kiro? Kiro writes a spec. Then Kiro autonomous agent actually takes that spec and writes the code. And then you have an engineer kind of code reviewing that. And so creating this very different way in how product manager can actually ship a feature.
Yeah, and I think I'll plus one that, but maybe I'll go back to the MIT study and the 5% failure or success rate. I think it's an important metric for us to not change our course, right? I think we have all been in the industry and in our careers, and I think we learn a lot more from failures than successes, and I think we know that. So I hope none of you get deterred by any failures that you see early in your teams, because that's how the learning has to happen. And I think there's no substitute for learning but by doing it. So I'll definitely want to make sure that we're not changing just because a study has been published.
So, but I would love to sort of step back for a second and look at the broader sort of strategic opportunity here as I think about, how the tools we work with today, right, and how we work today, and how they're evolving, with autonomous agents to Pablo's point, right, and you now, as an individual contributor, maybe are managing and collaborating with one or two or three agents, so you have these hybrid teams that are part of your workday. How do you think that's changing how we innovate and how we create and how we ultimately are able to deliver outsized value for our customers?
I can go first. So I think so. One of the things that we have been using within GoDaddy is a framework called Jobs to be Done, which is where you typically think about how do you break a requirement into different steps, and then think about the cycle time for accomplishing that jobs to be done. And that's a perfect example where you can start to map that a job is needing a day, an hour, or a week to accomplish. How can I reduce that by using agentic capabilities? So that's been a fundamental model or the framework that we are using, whether it's engineering cycle time, whether it's care cycle time, whether it's finance cycle time. I think that's been how we have been starting to think about maybe standardizing to say, okay, let's take a measurement and see how we can insert AI. And what that does is it actually changes the discussion from a lot of fear that people have is that I'm going to lose my job, instead of an AI buddy or an assistant that is helping to make me more productive. So that's something that I think we have been using, and I think it's probably early in the cycle, but we have seen a lot of success in at least having those open conversations focused on the jobs to be done and the cycle time, and how AI can help optimize those cycle times.
So I'm going to build on this, and it's something we've seen with a lot of customers. So when you adopt ServiceNow, oftentimes you'll apply into your business processes, into the workflows that you already have for customer service, for employee requests. And one of the things that we've realized is a lot of that stuff exists in organizations, and those processes are known and well documented. And in this notion of jobs to be done, the way we think about it is you hire people, you have a JD, you put out, and you bring people on board, and you know how to do that. You know how to bring them on board, you know how to say, hey, you're an asset manager, you're a service desk employee, you're a security analyst. And so the paradigm that we're adopting is we're going to help do that, and we're going to use the processes that you already have with the existing technology ecosystem that you have. You know, we have a lot of customers that are partnering with us with AWS and using AWS as a foundation for ServiceNow, either integrating with us or building on top. We want you to keep being able to do that. And very much to your point, obviously, we want to accelerate those outcomes. So when I've talked about these digital employees, you're hiring them for these jobs to be done, and they're coming on board, and then they're immediately driving day one right into the process that currently exists that you've already defined. So a service desk manager can onboard a human employee the way they can onboard a digital employee. And that person has access to the knowledge that you have. They have access to the system of record. They have access to previous incidents. They can go and really start working immediately day one. And then this is where the how comes in, because you've defined the what. The how is now the cycle time is faster. The resolution is faster. The experiences are being delivered faster. You're driving cost efficiency. And so in that world, you can maintain a lot of the paradigms that you have, but just get those jobs done faster and deliver on those goals that you have for your organization or for the company.
It's interesting. It seems like the current sort of maybe phase we're in is let's meet everyone where they are. It'd be interesting to see how, as we walk into the next year unfolds, and given AI has no respect for organizational structure and functions and the teams, how the teams will change and how the shape of kind of what the outcome of that particular team, let's say forward, looks like. We've covered quite a bit of ground, and I would love to get us to sort of talk about how to think about next year, right? So closing in 2025, have a few weeks to go. And then with the next year, as it comes upon us, I envision a world in which AI and teams collaborate continuously, to your point, Abhijit, safely and securely from anywhere, and they create unprecedented value for everyone. I would love to hear from each of you, what is one single most important piece of advice you might have for everyone in the audience today? How should they think about their investments into generative AI next year, and how they think about enabling this AI and team collaboration for their teams?
I love the rule of three, right? So, and I think this is a space where there is no substitute but then learn by doing it. So I would say pick one thing, work on it twice a day, even if it is 10 minutes a day, and then talk about it 3 times, right? I think that
It starts with you.
Yes, absolutely. Right. I don't know how many of you have written an agent, or obviously most of us have used GPTs in some shape and form. But I think I would love for everyone to actually just jump in with both feet and do it. Right. And I think even 10 minutes a day is actually very useful and productive. And then talking about it, like whether you're in a staff meeting, whether you're in a peer discussions, and continuing to evolve your thinking of what is out of possible and how you can apply AI, because a lot of times we are constrained by our own mental silos or biases or roadblocks. And the more you talk about it and more you've experienced, and I think I've seen that happen very organically as we went through the showcases, because suddenly, wow, this person has used AI this way. We can actually use it. And that idea exchange is super important. So I think that the last step of talking about it 3 times a day is equally important. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. Starts with you.
So I think what I would say is I come back to make sure that you have clarity on your goals and that you have a plan. And you think of it, AI, the way you think of your investment strategy. And it reminds me of something that Warren Buffett once said, which is an idiot with a plan will beat a genius without one. And so that's what I would say is how you should think about AI.
I like that idea. I would just add on it that one of the things that I've observed even this year as my team embraced AI, moving into this AI forward teams, is measurement. So goal, plan, and clear measurement. And the measurement is not that easy to come at. Like, is it more CRs? Is it more code? What kind of code? Is it production ready code, right? But I think what's important is pick a starting point and then iterate on that measurement to kind of see how that evolves and how that changes and delivers ultimately the value to your customers. So thank you all for joining today. I very much appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.